just talked at the Power Networking Conference about the power of Mastermind, and developing, creating your mastermind. And it was a great response. First, from my power talk, the room was filled and we couldn't get any more people in. People were still trying to get into the room, but it had reached its capacity. And then after that, I spent a lot of time in what we call the Power Suite, answering a lot of questions. And so I said, I couldn't answer all of those questions. I'll do my best to answer those questions tonight and just give some more information. And if you have some questions, I want you to kind of make sure you write those down, put them in the chat so that we can address them at the end of the presentation. I'm only going to go for around 45 to 50 minutes. I mean, I'm just going straight in. I don't want to, no shit. We don't need a long story because you're here by now. You know who I am. You know my story a little bit. I am going to touch on it a little bit, but only for the purposes of telling you about the power of creating masterminds and why I'm such a big fan of masterminds. And so I want to get into that. I see a few more chats. Let me just look over real quick because I want you, if you got questions. Yeah, I know there's some dangerous weather going through the South. So if you get dropped off, try to log back on if possible. Yeah, the PNC was fantastic. Yeah, fantabulous. I like that. Can't wait to 2022 where we're going to be live. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get into this. And again, if you drop off, don't worry about it. Try to log back on. I am recording it and I'll send you the recording so that you won't miss anything. Some of you are already familiar with this content. Some of you are already benefiting from this content, but I wanted to kind of do this, create a video, create a record so that all of these questions that I'm getting, all of this interest, and I already received a whole bunch of emails of people who couldn't make it tonight because I understood all of that. That's why I wanted to record it and have it for you. And then if I need to come back and talk about masterminds some more, I will do that. So I am going to share my screen in a moment, but let me just share my story real quick for those new people, those people who are who don't know me and not familiar with me at all. My name is Brother Bedford. That should be clear, crystal clear by now. I've been an entrepreneur pretty much all my life, but let's just say seriously for the past 20 plus years, 20, 25 years, where you can say that I understood what I was doing as an entrepreneur. First started in the real estate industry, actually started studying a guru in the 90s, late to mid 90s, mid to late 90s on investing in real estate, was having a tremendous amount of success. It was that guru who invited me to a conference in Orlando, Florida. And that conference was about information marketing, or what we now know today is this humongous self-education industry, self-learning industry, information industry, where people are learning how to package their knowledge, their expertise, their experience, their passions, their hobbies, and they've been selling them online. When I first started that real estate guru, I was studying his CDs and some VHS tapes from the workshops and things like that they would have. So that's how long this industry has been around, but it has evolved to where it went from cassettes, VHS tapes, to CDs, to MP3s, to digital products that we've been selling. And that's how I got introduced. That real estate guru invited me to that conference. It was all about this industry. They called it at that time the information marketing industry. And I'm sure many of us still call it, all of us, quote unquote, old heads, we still call it the information marketing industry. And in that room, there was all of the giants, Agora Publishing, some of the giants in this space, Dan Kennedy, Ron LeGrand, Jay Abraham, all of these legends that if you're familiar with the internet space, you probably have heard these names. And if not, you've probably heard of all of their students, because these were the guys who were really getting this started. And I came up under that umbrella, went to that conference. At that conference, that real estate guru revealed something. He said that he made more money selling the how-to information of real estate than he did investing in real estate. I'm gonna say that again, because I want you to get that. He made more money selling the how-to information of how to buy and sell real estate than he did investing in his local market. Not that he wasn't very successful in investing in real estate, but it was local. But once he started teaching it and packaging it into courses, he could sell these $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 boot camps and all of this type of stuff all over the world, primarily in the United States and Canada, where it went from a local market of buying and selling houses to having thousands of students who were paying thousands of dollars to learn how to do what it is that he was doing. One of the things that happened is I purchased that course, the license, learned all about this industry, but I was also in his mastermind. That's really the point I want to make, is that he revealed the value of a customer and how if you bought a course, you purchased that course, and then you end up going to a boot camp or a workshop, but then there was this high level mastermind that you could pay $25,000 to $50,000 to be in and actually be in close proximity with him and all of the other people who paid to be in the mastermind. And it would really shortcut your learning curve. And you would get all of these little nuggets, all of the secrets of how to buy and sell real estate. So he had a mastermind. So I came home, took that course, started selling $7 reports. Some of you already know this story. Sent out a report. Everybody wanted to know how I was making money flipping those nasty, stinking, ugly houses. Wrote that small little report, and that report sold for $7. Sent it out to my email list. Next day, I planned, scared to open up my computer, but I eventually opened up the computer, and there were those words that I still, every time I get on stage, matter of fact, 2 years ago when I was at the Power Networking Conference and wasn't teaching on this, somebody walked past me and said, notification, payment received, man, because they remembered those 4 words of notification of payment received. That's the result of selling digital products or information products in the online space. And so from that, I started creating books. Here's a couple books. The product that came out of that was a product called Conversations with Black Millionaires. So I got a couple of the books here because I want you to see that I've been a part of all of this. The digital space, doing the interviews, creating the physical books. Here's another one of my books. All of these books still, so I still get money from these books on Amazon every month. Doing that, started teaching courses, workshops, kind of like what we're doing now, but they didn't have Zoom when I first started. There was no YouTube when I first started. So there was all of these different softwares that we could do webinars. And first it was teleseminars, then it was webinars, and then we learned to package them. And then we started developing online courses, which is very popular today. I've been selling thousands and thousands of courses, been a part of other people's courses. Many of my students, some of the people I've already brought Marquell and a few others into the group. They've gone on to make millions of dollars doing the exact same things that I've been teaching for years. And the things that I'm sharing with you now is that out of all of these business models, out of all of this that I've, the ups and downs, the roller coasters, the feast, the famine, none of these business models, well, I won't say none of them. I'll just say all of these business models have culminated into what we now know as masterminds. And specifically, I'm talking to you today about virtual masterminds. This is not a new concept. That's probably why it's so powerful. All of the gurus that I've mentioned and that I haven't mentioned, they take their students or people through these funnels of different products or layers to get to, the top of the mountain or the premium product, which is the mastermind, where most cases you come to their place or you travel to. We've traveled to California, to Florida, to New York, and then they have special retreats in place. These are called mastermind retreats, where people would travel to come together. Sometimes it's very small groups, 6, 8, 10, 12, 20 people who are paying a very premium price to have access to the quote unquote guru or the expert, but more importantly, all of the other gurus or experts that are there, because by the time you're there and you're interested in paying that type of money, you've pretty much had some semblances of success. And now you're just looking for what we call these principles of slight edge, the next thing. This was kind of exclusive for so long. All of these business models have culminated into today. What 2020 did was take this premium model of the mastermind, and now everybody has begun to learn how to get online, and all of the other products that we talked about, the webinars, the online courses, you know, the podcasting, all of these things now have become so commonplace that they've lowered the barrier to entry. But now it took what that mastermind was way out there in the sky and above everybody's head, and you had to have a gazillion dollars to be a part of it. Now it's brought that mastermind, this premium experience of coming together, having a community, and talking and solving problems and growing together and learning together, which was normally reserved for the high ticket. Now everybody can do this. It's still kind of new, but now with the technology that we're on now, like Zoom and some of the other technologies, but my preference is Zoom, you can have a mastermind really on the front end of your product development. And in fact, it is the best offering in terms of the value that you can create that would allow you to get clients or customers, or even add value to an existing business. So let me just go through, for those who don't know, when I spoke at the PNC, we did the first Power Talk just to kind of demystify what a mastermind is. You know, this principle was attributed to Napoleon Hill. He wrote about it, and this was probably I think it was the fourth principle. This was really the foundational principle of Think and Grow Rich, where he interviewed all of the millionaires and billionaires of that day, all of the industrialists, and all of them without question. In fact, they even had a mastermind. I forget the name of it. Henry Ford and a few others were in a mastermind, and I think they called it the Vagabonds or something like that. It was a strange name for a group, but they had a mastermind where all of them, Firestone, Henry Ford, and all of them would come together and to discuss best practices and how to take their businesses to the next level. And so all of them gave this insight to Napoleon Hill, and he wrote about it, how all of these successful people use this principle of coming together, bringing one mind with another mind and creating this third mind, or this magical mind, or as some would say, and even Napoleon Hill, inviting the spirit of another mind to come in and help this group to solve problems, come up with new ideas, be innovative, be creative, do magical things, because all of them really thought that they were doing some magical things. And if you looked at the industrial age, you couldn't argue that they were some of the most creative people in terms of industrialists, creating railroads, automobiles, you can electricity, right? So we can call it a roll, and all of the innovations that began to happen at the turn of the century, the late 1800s and the early 1900s. But all of them leaned into this principle. However, this principle is, all of them attributed it to the Bible, right? All of them, even though they said they used it, it was not something that was original in concept. It's truly biblical, and it's truly spiritual and scriptural. I can probably go through 4 to 5 different scriptural references or texts from different religions and show you this principle. I'll just talk about the Bible just for the sake of time. It says, where there are 2 or more gathered, there I am in the midst of you, right? So it's telling you that where there are 2 people, there's this energy, the spirit or the mind of God that kind of helps to come in to solve the problems. If those 2 people submit, that's the challenge, coming in and submitting to allowing new ideas, new concepts, new strategies, new business models to be birthed. And in fact, it begins to help everybody in the circle, or everybody in the mastermind. That's why it's called a mastermind. One mind comes with another mind, or even a third mind, and they create this mastermind to where they each can take some ideas and concepts and go off and do some magnificent, magical, or miraculous things. And I've fallen in love with this principle. There's no doubt about it. There's no need for me to go back into some of the other things, because when you learn how to create a good mastermind, you can incorporate all of these other experiences or products and services into the mastermind. And all it does is begin to add more and more value. And when you do that, obviously you can charge more and more if that's your desire. So I kind of wanted to lay the base for that. I am going to share my screen with you because I want to just run through this rather quickly, because I want you to be able to ask me your questions. So if you got any questions, just make sure you just put it in the chat. So give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, because I want to dive right into this mastermind. Hope everybody's all right. see here. Can you see my screen? Hopefully you can see my screen. We're going to keep it going because this is specifically, the title of the talk was how to make 6 figures or more with simple virtual masterminds. This business model is very simple. I'm just going to explain it as we go through this, because again, I don't want to be disrespectful of your time because I can get to going. First, let's just talk about the 5 benefits of a mastermind. I pretty much covered these things, but I wanted to highlight all of these things just so that you can see and hopefully take some notes where some people couldn't take notes before, or even write these things down and think a little deeper on them. I call these powerful benefits, but I didn't want to just put a whole bunch of words up there. But the number one thing, it solves huge problems. I have a mastermind and a couple masterminds, but my signature mastermind, because I'm diluting some of the other ones because I really want to focus on the masters of business. And so a lot of my other partnerships and joint ventures, I don't talk about them as much because I'm slowly trying to pull away and get into this and grow what I believe is the ideal business model and probably the best place for me to do my best work. And that's why I think it's probably good for you. If you really want to do your best work, you probably want to begin to create the environment to do this. And we'll talk more about this in a moment. But the number one thing is that it solves huge problems. And so we have people in our mastermind who come and they don't have any idea, or they have struggles, or they're stuck in certain places. But that collective, leveraging the collective knowledge and wisdom of the group, of the different members, to kind of get clarity on a problem and then give some insight, not necessarily what to do, but give insight and suggestions based upon all of the others' experience, or all of the others' resources, or all of the others' different types of business models that could be applicable to you. That's a huge thing. I'll talk about that a little bit later as to how some other businesses some people wonder, well, why would I want to be in a mastermind with people of different businesses or things like that? It's because your best ideas are going to come from outside of your industry, outside of your category. When you're so close, you can't see it, and you're really doing what everybody else in the industry is doing. But yet when you step outside of your particular niche and see something that's working for somebody else in a completely different industry, and then you apply that in your industry, it kind of differentiates you, but then it also gives you something that others don't have. And in most cases, that becomes your unfair competitive advantage. Hopefully we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it solves huge problems. I know when I go to my masterminds, I'm in a mastermind with a lot of internet marketers. In fact, all of the top Black internet marketers, I'm in that mastermind group. And when we all have a problem, we go in there and the answers are there in a jiffy. So cost is irrelevant, because it saves, going into this next one, it saves time and money. Not only does it solve the huge problems that I may have by myself, but when I go to these other mastermind groups, where it will probably take me months to figure something out, or hundreds or thousands of dollars to kind of learn a software or get a new tool, I can ask the question from other members who've been there, done that, and it saves me all of that time, all of that heartache, all of that stress of me thinking or trying to figure it out on my own. Some people, when they come to thinking about investing in a mastermind group, they look at it as a cost. And so they say, well, I don't have the time to be in that group, or I don't have the money. And I'm telling you, it's a shift in the thinking that masterminds don't cost you more time. They don't cost you more money. They save you time and they save you money, because you're able to get your problem solved if you go in there with the right spirit. The masterminds multiply results. Again, I can't even begin to tell you how when people bring issues or challenges to the mastermind group and they're looking for one result or just some moderate progress, but to begin to get some insight or new strategies or new tactics on how to improve their business or even just their lives, and you do it in such a way, or someone has an experience that you don't have, and you thought you were just going to get, moderate results, you go and you apply the principles that you've learned, and it multiplies your results. I'll give you an example. Even just the things that I'm talking about to you right now, once you get this, whatever struggles or being stuck in your business, wherever you were, and you learn how to apply this, it literally multiplies your results. I call it like taking the training wheels off or taking the brakes off, where you feel like you're stuck and you're just chugging along. But if you get in the right mastermind, ask the right questions, get the right type of assistance, the right answers, the right suggestions, it literally multiplies your results. And I mean at an exponential rate, not slow either. Masterminds encourage you to think outside of the box. I have people that I'm around, or I'm in certain masterminds, and they're doing some things that I never thought of, strategies that I never thought of. And the same is true with you. When you get around the right people, again, sometimes we're so close to what we're doing, and we haven't explored other angles, other opportunities, other partnerships. We'll talk about that in a minute, but one of the benefits is that sometimes if you get in the right mastermind group, there's someone in that group that could help take you to the next level because of the successes that they're already having, the unique experiences that they're already having. And just those interactions cause you to think differently about your approaches and how you build your business. And all of this is also applicable to life and business. So sometimes you'll hear me using both of those words together, life and business, because I normally don't separate them. To me, once you master the science of life, you master the science of business. And if you master the science of business, you master the science of life. And you learn how to do those things together. You know, you're living the life of your dreams, and you're generating the revenue that allows you to live that life. So that's kind of my model. So you'll hear me use those words interchangeably from time to time. Just don't want to confuse anyone. Masterminds expose you to opportunities that you may not know exist. I can't even begin to tell you. Matter of fact, let's just use this as a quick example, because I do want to keep going. Got quite a few things to cover. Just how people were talking about the Power Networking Conference. Kim Yan and a few others, I think Lynette and a few others had this their first time participating. This was the virtual conference. They hadn't been to the live conference yet. But by being in my group or in close proximity to me, they were exposed to the opportunity to be a part of the Power Networking Conference, and then to meet certain people and to meet Dr. George C. Frazier. And sometimes when you're not involved in circles like that or networks like that, pardon me, you don't have that exposure to take advantage of certain opportunities. And so you meet George and you come to the Power Networking Conference, but then there's all of these other people that are there that expose you to different opportunities. Matter of fact, many of you that are here have come because of your exposure to me at the Power Networking Conference. So that's the power of the appropriate networking and mastermind, and it exposes you to opportunities that you may not know exist. Now, who is this for? It's for entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches, consultants, authors, speakers who serve with their knowledge and want to increase their impact and transformation. Those two words is really what it's all about for me. It's about having impact and transformation. Nothing pleases me more than to see the transformation that happens with my clients, to see them go from A to Z, right? It's cool to see them go from A to B. Nothing like watching marginal, transformation, right? But when you see someone who started here and then they end up here, it's a wonderful thing. And out of all of those things that I mentioned, and we're going to cover them in detail, the courses and all of that type of stuff, I have yet to find any that have the transformative power of being involved in a mastermind. And there are many reasons why. I mean, just the engagement and the relationships that are developed. It's not like studying a course by yourself or reading a book and being by yourself. When you're in a mastermind, that's a completely different experience. And I'm saying this obviously for you to think about when you're joining a mastermind. But as you're creating masterminds, this is what you're doing for your clients, is that you're helping to have a tremendous impact on them and to help them transform their lives. And if you're interested in transforming your customers or your clients' lives, nothing is a better tool for you to help do that than a mastermind. If you're having a hard time growing your business, masterminds are for you. Again, I've seen so many people, and we're going to get into struggling with the sales and all of that type of stuff. But if you're having a hard time growing or scaling your business, masterminds are for you. If you're on the income roller coaster, I like to call it feast or famine. They're just some of these business models that we're in, and I'm speaking from experience. I'm not speaking condescendingly. I'm speaking from experience, to where you're in this space, you create great products or services, and you enter these phases of feast or famine where everything is going good, but then all of a sudden there's famine, and then you got to get back on the bike again to kind of get back to feast or famine. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So the mastermind provides stability. So if you want stability, this is for you. If you want a simple business model, I am all about simplicity. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or I've just become a little bit, just really getting wiser to all of the millionaires and even the few billionaires that I've encountered. One of the things that I've learned, even though they may seem like they have these complex or huge empires, Michael V. Roberts is a great example, has this, hotels and resorts and all of these type of things. When you really boil it down, they have a very simple business model in life, and they've learned how to build teams to kind of help to run things to where you see all of this activity, but themselves have a very simple business model in life on how they coordinate. Now, many of us, before we get to the $100 million business realm, we need a simple model to kind of get us to that point. And Masterminds is the simplest business model, period. I mean, there are others who may seem easy, but hopefully after I finish explaining this to you, you'll see how simple this model is. Higher revenue. I'll prove my point on the higher revenue in just a few moments. But more importantly, I kind of touched on this, the amazing clients who deeply value you. If you've ever felt like, I'm giving my all, I'm teaching, I'm providing value, I'm serving, all of those good things, and those clients turn around and just treat you like a doormat, and you feel like, I'm not, you almost want to cuss them out every chance you get, these ungrateful, whatever language you use. And that happens because we have business models that doesn't impact or touch our clients the way that a mastermind does. Some of the other products, the reason people are ungrateful because it's not touching them. It's so cold, it's so distant, it's so far. But when you have a mastermind, and you probably, even just when if you were on earlier, just a few people that I talked to are part of my mastermind, you can see we're almost like family. And so you have people who value you, and I value them, because a mastermind is you're not the star, right? You're not the star. It's not even about you. It's about everybody in the group. And so when it's about everybody in the group, everybody's bringing value, and you learn to appreciate each other. Now, I'm saying this from my vantage point, but I want you to always picture yourself, you doing this for your clients. And now you're providing value in an environment for people to prosper and to grow and to develop, and whatever niche it is, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, they begin to value, again, for transforming their lives. Let's keep it going. Again, if you want to have more impact, influence, and income, I think I've already covered that. You want to transform the lives of your clients, I think I've already covered that. You want to get better results, there's no doubt about it. No book, no course, nothing can give you the results of an ongoing mastermind, because everything is true development and growth is constant. And the desire for people to get in and out, I call it like getting in and out like a bank robbery, right? It's just so quick to get in and out, you don't really get the results that you want. But if you're involved in a mastermind and you know that the commitment is there to grow and to develop and get the outcome that everyone is desirous of getting, the results are off the charts. And that's when people stick and stay. And that's when people begin to get others to come into the environment. And that leads right to the next one. That's how you get more and better clients, because of people who are satisfied with what's happening in the mastermind. You generate more consistent income. As we just mentioned, we're going to get to the income a little bit later, so I won't spend a lot of time on that now. You'll be able to take more time off. My goodness, this is key. When I talk about simplicity, I've learned that being busy is not what we're supposed to be doing as it relates to building our businesses. we should be creating lives where we're able to take more time off because we add value. When I tell people how many hours I work on my masterminds, you know, for each one or each partnership or each project, no more than 20 hours per month. That a lot of people say, oh, I got to learn how to do that. And it's because when you create an environment where you don't have to constantly create content, where you don't have to constantly be in service mode or plugging holes and all of these different things, but it creates value and it's allowing people time to develop. And then when you get together, it is so powerful that it's creating change and transformation that people don't need you to hold their hand the next day, right? It's not until the next week or the next month that they need to come back. But during that time, that frees you up to create the life and to create more value and add more value to the group. We'll talk about that later. If you got some questions on that, we'll talk about that. But in terms of entrepreneurship, all of our goals as entrepreneurs and business owners, the chief motivator, no matter what we say, we can say we want $1 million, $1 billion, whatever it is. The chief motivator for all of us is freedom. It's time, because that money allots us time, you know, to cultivate relationships, to go where we want to go, to discover our purpose in life. If your business is not aligned with your purpose, it kind of gives you that time to kind of explore all of those opportunities. But that doesn't happen where you're in hustle. You know, I've seen those groups where it's team no sleep and hustle 24/7. That's not what you want. And this business model lends to you having more freedom, more time, make more money, and really get more results. And as I said at the bottom, the last line is, and to really take control of your life, to be happy, stress-free, enjoy special moments and experiences without the worry of money. Uh-oh. What happened here? Let me see. Can you all still see me? I don't know what happened there. So let's see. So why virtual masterminds, and why not books, one-on-one coaching, membership sites, courses, events? In a mastermind, you can promise the same results people would get from all of those other models, and even better. I've already given you some of the benefits. So all of the benefits or the results that a person would get from coaching, membership sites, you can literally promise all of those results and even better in a mastermind. And it's easier to deliver in the mastermind. And I'll explain that in a few moments. It's important to remember that the value doesn't just come from you. I've already explained this. It comes from the collective knowledge, wisdom, experience, and resource that make the mastermind so successful. So let's go into the books real quick. Let me look at the clock, because I want to leave time for some questions. Books. Here's the pros of having books or writing books. As I told you, I have a few here, a few of my books. It's low ticket, right? It's good to get interest from potential buyers. Normally, if someone buys the book, chances are they're willing to spend more money on a different product of mine, a higher tier product. Books are good for indoctrination or introducing people to your concepts, meaning that you have a way or a methodology or strategies that you want to kind of give people and kind of get them indoctrinated to the way that you think and the different processes. That's what a book is good for. So now that they can go and read it, and then they can come back with whatever their problems or issues are and really engage with you on a higher level with a different level product. They're great for creating visibility, branding, authority, and expertise. You know, if you want to write a book, you hear a lot. And I got tons of friends who are in this space. And I used to teach this about writing books. They say if you want to be an expert or be the authority in your space, you need to write a book. And all of that is true. That's the pros. But here are the cons. It takes time to write a book, especially a good book. Now, some of these books I've been blessed that some of these books I didn't even write a word for, right? These are just my interviews, my conversations with Black millionaires. So that's a way that you can cut the learning curve. But if you're going to write a book that's going to build some type of prestige and credibility in the media market landscape or establish you as an authority or an expert in a certain category or an industry, that's going to take some time to write that book. Here's the other con. They make very little money. You can go to any bookstore right now and look at all of those books on the shelves, and the majority, I believe the number is somewhere around 90% of the authors have not sold 1,000 copies. It is generally known that most authors, again, around the 90% percentage points, have sold just 250 books in their life. I know people who've just sold 250 books in their life. So they spent a year or two to write the book, launch the book, and then sell books out of their trunk. So they get very little leeway. And again, there's nothing wrong with it when you use a book properly. We don't have time to kind of go into that now, but I want to show you the pros and cons of why this should not just be the business model that you're in. And it's expensive and difficult to market. And as I just mentioned, it's a very saturated market. Courses, this is really what everybody's getting into now. And here are the pros. It's beautiful. They're highly leverageable. And I don't know if that's properly spelled, but somebody will tell me if I spelled that right or wrong. Never said I was an excellent speller. Because here's what happens with being highly leveraged. You can create the course once and sell it again and again. That's theoretically, right? And it's true. You sell it again and again, but it's not that easy to sell it again and again. And this is what the gurus don't tell you. You're signing up for courses or to create courses. You can create this course and sell it for $2,000, $3,000. And yeah, you may get a few sales initially, but that's not a long business because now you got other things to deal with. The price point doesn't require phone sales. So most times you can create courses and you don't have to really get on the phone and sell those courses because the price points may be anywhere between, I don't know, $100 to $2,000. And if you got a great course, got great copy and all of that type of stuff, you can sell a course without having to get on the phone and close it. As I just said, it can be sold from sales pages, webinars, challenges. I know people who offer challenges now, and then at the end of the challenge, they have a course for you to join. Now, here are the cons. Low completion rate, meaning that less than 10% of people who actually purchase courses finish them and get out of them what the intent was for the course. And so you have a lot of people who have a ton of courses, and I hope I'm not stepping on any toes. A ton of people have a ton of courses, but never implemented anything in the course or the training. Now, again, if you go back to what I said earlier, if you truly want impact, this was the impasse for me. This is where the roads begin to, I got stuck in the road for myself because I had tons of people buying my books, downloading conversations with millionaires, buying my courses, signing up for notification of payment receipt, all of this type of stuff. But then I noticed that there was a small percentage who are very successful, the Marquells, the Ashleys, and a few others that are doing fairly well. But then there's a larger segment who I wasn't impacting, at least not the way that I wanted to. So that was a challenge for me. High refund rate. This is one of those things that the gurus really don't tell you, is that once you start selling these courses, they have this thing called buyer's remorse. And if you got the wrong people buying your courses, they want, and they don't finish, and you offer 30-day guarantee or 60-day guarantee or whatever it is. If they don't get busy on those courses and get some results, they want a refund. And sometimes it could be over 20%. And if you're just starting out, that could be devastating for your business to begin to have to give refunds and things like that. So it really boggles up your cash flow. It takes a lot of work to get to momentum with a course, the marketing, the copy, funnels, getting a team together, and it's very expensive to scale, meaning buy ads, which you see a lot now, people purchasing Facebook ads and things like that. That's not for the beginner. That's not for a person who wants a simple life. If you're interested in that type of stuff, the Mastermind wouldn't be for you. The Mastermind is a model that is completely opposite that, to kind of remove all of these different impediments that we have here. One-on-one coaching and consulting. Again, it's highly customizable. These are the pros again. High ticket value. You can charge a lot for one-on-one coaching or consulting program. And of course, the low refund rate, because you actually work most times with coaching, you're telling people what to do, but you're there probably speaking one-on-one. We do know one thing, it takes up a lot of time to do that. Consulting, you're probably working with them to help them to get some results. But in the event that there's ever any type of refund, that could be devastating. I've been in situations like that, and I've actually coached and consulted with other people who have consulting businesses, and they're working with someone, something goes wrong, and then they have to refund $20,000. Think about that. You're working, you're spending all of this time with someone, then all of a sudden you got to refund $20,000 because something went wrong. So that it could be devastating. And that goes to the point number one with the cons, the risk. Most times when you're doing one-on-one coaching and consulting, you can only deal with so many people at a time. And let's just say if you got everything invested in 4 to 5 clients, it doesn't take much, 1 or 2 clients to kind of fall off for you now to be down to 2 or 3. And that can put you in a very bad situation. As I already mentioned, it takes up a lot of time. And then most times when you're doing coaching and consulting, the way that you sell those, you have to get on the phone. Not too many people are pulling out their credit card, spending 10, 15, 20, $25,000 without talking to someone. You're not just going to put up a sales page and not talk to someone. So you have to get on the phone, and then most times you have to customize the package to fit their needs, which again, takes up a lot of time, a lot of thinking, a lot of logistics, a whole bunch of things. And then I've already mentioned this before, the dreaded feast or famine, to where you can get 5 clients and 10 clients will be working very well with them. But then once those clients are done, now you're back to famine mode. And now you got to work real hard to get back up to these clients. I said I was done with that model some time ago. And then this one here, and I don't know why the screen is keeps going black on us. Let's see if we can get it back up. Events. High touch, the pros is high touch. It can scale to hundreds, maybe thousands. And these are all of the business models that when you're thinking about teaching or educating or training, and whether it's internet or live, these are the models that you come across. Everything that I've named thus far, and including events. High touch, you can scale to hundreds, maybe thousands of people. We just came out of the event, the Power Networking Conference. Great environment to pitch. You got a captive audience, can be super sticky and a transformative event. That's how the Power Networking Conference is virtually, but even more so physically. It's very sticky. I mean, people come back year after year because of the environment, because of the love. It's like a family reunion. But here's the reality. Here's some cons. It's susceptible to pandemics. I think we all should know that by now. 2020 wiped out a lot of people who were doing public speaking events and all of that type of stuff. And it really wiped them out. I know people right now who are still trying to recover from losing all of their income in 2020. Tons of overwhelm. There's a lot of risk. There's even liability that could be involved when you're doing live events. It's a massive undertaking with many moving parts. That's why George is like, I tip my hat to George, and I'm privy to have been behind the scenes and worked at the Power Networking Conference and with George on the Power Networking Conference. And I see what it takes. A lot of moving parts, a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of teams, and it's very capital intensive. In his case, some of these events, hundreds of thousands of dollars to pull off. And I know a lot of people are just starting to say, you know what, I just do an event, and not knowing that they may be getting ready to be out of pocket $5, $10, $15, $20,000. And that's why I don't want you to start off there. So let's just go to the masterminds. I say all that to give you the pros and cons of the mastermind. No inventory, especially virtual masterminds. No inventory. No to little overhead. Expertise is not required. As I mentioned, you don't have to be the expert. You're not the star of the show. In fact, you can get paid to learn. You can literally develop masterminds, network with experts, and if you have a subject matter that you want to learn, you can start a mastermind so that you all can learn it together, and you can bring in experts to kind of help to teach you. So you can literally get paid to learn on a subject or a passion or a hobby that you are very interested in. It's normally higher ticket. I'm going to get into a little math in just a second here, but it's not low cost, and it shouldn't be low cost because of the value that's added here. The engagement is high touch, low time commitment. I've already talked about this. It's extremely leveraged and scalable. Again, you're leveraging the community, and we can go further a little bit later, and I'll talk to you about how you're leveraging everyone to even get more and more people into the group to scale or grow the business. You don't want to get into buying ads and things like that until you really nail your offer and the value that you've added. And then once you do that, you can begin to think about scaling with ads and things like that. But this model doesn't require any of that. It doesn't require a lot of risk. There's no liability or otherwise. So what's the cons of a mastermind, Brother Bedford? It can't be that perfect. I'm telling you, I struggle to figure out what are the cons. They're little to none, especially compared to all of the other models, right? If I looked at all of the other models and then I'm trying to find out what is the con or the comparison to masterminds, it's very little, except that you may have an extreme desire to do one or the other one. So I would suggest that you do one. If you want to just write books, write books. If you just want to do events, do events. If you want to, create courses, do courses. It's not that it's the mastermind doesn't fall in the category of a con of that. That's just your own personal desire. But in terms of the deliverability and being able to do all of those things within a mastermind is nothing like it. Because masterminds, it literally takes the best features of all of those models combined with minimal risk. Let's do a little revenue math real quick, and you can write this down if you want. Literally, masterminds were designed for smaller groups, as I mentioned, going up the chain to get to the guru. You can literally still charge a premium price, higher ticket, depending upon your industry. We can talk about industries individually once, if I have to have the chance to speak to any of you about this. But just 10 people, I want you to just think about this model. If you focus to where you had 10 people, if you had a decent product or created enough value in your industry, your category or niche, where you're charging $1,000 a month, and you had 10 people giving you that, that's $120,000 a year just from 10 people. Now, if you had those 10 people pay in advance or all up front, and you gave them a discount, just paid $10,000, that's still $100,000 a year. Now, somebody may be thinking, well, can I create something that's worth $1,000 a month or $10,000 a year? I really can just call the list of all of the different programs that I'm a part of, that I know of, that you know of. Some of you are paying coaches $10,000. So I don't even have to explain this to you. You're paying $7,000, $10,000, $12,000, $5,000 for a coach is not giving you any of the benefits of a mastermind. And now you're able to create something to where people can pay you to be a part of something that gives more results, more transformation than many of the one-on-one coaches that we've all encountered. If you got to 10 people, that's 100,000 for the year. Let's keep it going because I know we're getting close to time. Let's just say that's too much for you, too rich for your blood. Brother Bedford, I can't come up with I think that's too high. And it's for some of you, it is. It depends upon your niche or your industry, right? So there are some industries that are not business related or something, or not financial, in some areas where $1,000 a month is not, it's not feasible. And that's fine. I get that, but I just wanted to give you the simplicity of it. However, I would say that we all should be thinking about, can I create something of value? Can I create enough information? Can I create the right environment? Can I get the right experts that it's worth at least $500 a month, right? And in that case, 20 people. I want you to think about this is not a lot of people. Some of us have 5,000 Facebook fans and hundreds and thousands of TikTok followers, but we've never thought about what would be the appropriate business model to where I can siphon a small percentage of them off and have the life of my dreams. Now, for some of the bigger ticket, now maybe you have a premium offer, a premium product. I've been a part of these groups, right? 4 people. We've had people who want to pay $25,000 to be in a mastermind with George and myself, and that's for the year, right? And we broke it down so they don't even get the whole like monthly things. It's like just quarterly, and they're willing to pay $25,000 to be in a room, to have access to his Rolodex and meeting with other mentors, having other multimillionaires in a room and maybe some billionaires, and be able to ask questions and grow. Now, obviously, these people have the money in order for them to be able to write the check. But I just want to give you, because I don't know you may have that type of cachet. You might have that type of audience, or if not, you can create that type of audience, or those type of people that they're looking for $25,000 worth of value, or 20,000 or 15, whatever the number is. I'm just trying to show you how quick and easy it can be with the power of small numbers to get to those 6 figures that we talked about. And then, of course, sorry about that, folks. And just real quick, let me go back to that one. And then, of course, you can scale it down if you need to. I would say, though, if you get into below 100, and I've started my masterminds with that, but the intent was never to keep them low. It's to build it up and to get started. So I can understand that if you wanted to start a group or a community, say, well, I want to start at a lower price to get it going. Here's the chat. There are a couple of challenges there. One is it's to generate enough money to kind of keep it going and to satisfy you. That could be an issue to keep you motivated. But then you also want to attract the right people. It's more important, or just as important, to attract the right people to the group as it is to think that you're creating the value, your idea. You want the right type of people in the group, because that's how it grows. That's how it begins to grow itself, become a self-managing entity, because of you're getting the right people. It's growing. That breeds more right people. And sometimes you're turning off. And I turned off people from some of my groups, but I'm trying to break in certain categories. But there's some people who have money and they don't want to be in a room with people who don't have as much, or people who don't know as much, or people who they probably feel they couldn't get value from. And so literally you can be turning away a lot of money by keeping your prices too low, is really the point that I'm trying to make. So in this case, I would not go below $100 a month. And that could even pan out to just being $1,000 a year. So it's still a great product or service. But anytime you get back down to $25, Brother Bedford, I want to charge $20 a month, $25. That's okay, but that's not necessarily a mastermind. It goes back into what we call probably a membership site model or something like that. And that's okay too. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment as well. So let me just tell you, really, there's only 3 things that you need to get clear on when it comes to creating your mastermind. And here's the first. So you need to just get clear on the theme of your mastermind. What is it that you want the outcome to be? Who is it that you want to serve? And I asked some of you this question probably a million times. Who do you want to be a hero or a shero to, right? That kind of helps you to determine what is the niche or the category or the group of people that you want to serve. Some people in the business world would just say, well, what is your niche? What is it that you want to deal with? And then you have to determine who is it for. And as I just alluded to, I didn't say it directly, but I'll say it directly here, who it is not for. There's just some people that your mastermind is not for. So you have to determine who is it for and who it is not for. And then that means you create the messaging to kind of attract who you want, but then also repel who you don't want, right? And then you come up with the promise and the transformation. What can be expected if I was to join your mastermind? What is going to be the transformation that I'm going to experience? What's going to be, where am I going to be if I'm starting at A? What does my Z look like? What is that big, bold promise? So this is the first phase of what you have to do. And then you have to develop the process of how you're going to do that. In my case, let me just give you an example. With the Masters of Business, I asked for a 12-month commitment, because that's the process. Come in, we meet once a month as in the mastermind. We sit on a hot seat. I have what's called office hours, so you can check in with me every week, right? We can ask questions, and I'm asking you questions, so that throughout this process, if you're checking in every week, we have our mastermind where you can get on the hot seat to where you can share whatever the challenges or issues or problems that you have to the group. Group can ask questions, get clarifying answers on what it is that you're trying to present, and then give you suggestions, so that now you can have this transformative experience, right? You have an issue, we help solve it, you get better, you make more money, or whatever it is, you have a better life, you take a vacation, get free time, whatever it is, the result that we're looking for. But now the next month you come back on a higher level. So this is the process. And so there are 3 things that are key to that process that we talked about. You heard me talk about the hot seats, or the mastermind itself, being able to talk. Then there's what we just discussed, the questioning. That's the environment. A lot of what's involved in a mastermind is really just asking questions, being curious, making sure you get to the root of the problems. And really, once you get to the root of the problem, and even when you understand the root of the problem yourself, the answer seems to almost like, it manifests itself. We just have a lot of stuff going on and distraction, but with the right questions, and you really understand what it is that you're trying to do, then the question or the answers or the solutions seem to appear out of nowhere. But that's the magical power, again, going back to the magic of the mastermind. And if you're not engaged in that process, it probably doesn't happen. And to calculate the investment is simply what we talked about earlier. How much you're going to charge for this? What is the value? And I wouldn't even look and say charge. This is an investment. Calculate the investment, because every person should, if a person is paying $10,000 to be a part of a mastermind, chances are you want to be able to create $100,000 worth of value. And that's not very difficult when you have a collective body of people who are contributing, or you're able to bring in experts who give that type of value. And it's not difficult at all once you know how to do it. There was one other thing that I wanted to say. I gave you the two things that are pretty much the core of it. The other is the content. In my group, we do provide training. So there's training, there's the environment, right? And then there's the outcome of the transformation that we want to happen, the actual process. And that's the hot seats and things like that. That's really the gist of a mastermind. That's how simple it is when we talked about the simple business model. Okay, I'm sure you got some questions about that. So let me go ahead and get through this real quick to get to your questions. Here's the secret though, to discovering your niche and really coming up with a successful mastermind. Here's the secret. It's market research. Using this language, this is like a business term, so sometimes it can throw some people off, but this literally means just asking the people who you want. If you got an idea, or let's just start with the people first. You got a body of people that you want to serve. It's really as simple as asking them, well, what is it that you're having issues with? What is it that you want to get out of a mastermind? What problems do you have? And then you begin to create the mastermind based upon their needs and wants. And so now when you do that, can you imagine just telling people, going to a group of 10, 15, 20, 30 people that you know, picking up your phone, right? Say, well, what are the issues that you're having? Right? You already know the common interest, but now you're going a little deeper. What are the issues that you're having? What is the results that you're looking for? What would you like to see happen a year from now, 6 months from now? And then once you get that data, that input from them, and the language that they're using, the things that they're having pain with, now you create the mastermind to solve that problem. Well, here's what we're going to do. In this, I'm going to create a mastermind, and it's going to address what you said, that issue, that issue, that issue. At the end of 6 months, we should all be here. That's how you create the mastermind. Most of us want to, like all of the products we create, right? I got an idea that I want to give or put on people instead of getting feedback from them. In fact, the reason I did this was because people wanted to know more about the mastermind. So I listened, and then I said, well, let me create it. And then I've even created the mastermind to help with this. So, and we'll just talk about that in 1 second. But this is really the secret. If you begin to ask the right questions from the people that you want to be in the mastermind, and then you create the mastermind specifically for them, that mastermind is going to be so successful because you're giving the people, I think the OJs have that song, give the people what they want. It's never been more right than doing it with a mastermind. If you give the people what they want and allow them to express and grow on the issues that are plaguing them the most, or the challenges that's plaguing them the most, that is the secret to a successful mastermind. And then how do you fill it? I just gave it to you. So this is step 1 and step 2. The third step is really tied into this as well. So step 1, do the market research. That's how you begin to formulate the mastermind that you're going to do. Talk to the people that you want to be in the mastermind. Notice I said who you want. You do not want to build a mastermind around people that you have no interest in their subject matter. You have no interest in being in intimate conversations with them, because that's what a mastermind is. Who do you want to serve? Get the data and the research from them, and then you fill it with warm and organic traffic. Here are the people who know, like, and trust you, the people that you're talking to. And then you just go steps further. You can put up some Facebook posts. You know, I'm thinking of starting a mastermind on this, or your Instagram or your Twitter, and you begin to engage with those people and talk to them about it. This is how you begin to build it. And I want you to think about this. You're probably saying, well, you know, how many people could that be? If you talk to 100 people and you got 10 people to give you $1,000, that's $10,000. That's the start of a beautiful mastermind group. I think that sometimes we've been so confused by people saying you got to scale, you got to go big or go home, that we forgot that we have to start the business somewhere. We have to start perfecting our message somewhere. So if you got 5, 10, 15 people, in fact, I would even say to my first group, I only want 10 people in it so that you can get it in and start asking the questions and formulate it the way that you want it to run. And then you expand it and get 10 more people. So you fill it with warm and organic traffic, people that you know, like, and trust, and people that know, like, and trust you. So those are the first 2 steps. And then the third is always growing it. And the way you grow it is that you create such a valuable mastermind that now the people in it are having success and they begin to refer people in it. And then now that's the way that it begins to grow. And then later down the road, unless you're already established. Now, if you already, and some people that I talk to already have large organizations and they're looking to add this as a component. So for you, that's a slight exception there, is because you already have an audience. Then now you can just begin to do this part. And then maybe you can scale it with ads or something because you have a larger organization. But for the most part, those individuals who are just starting, you don't need to do that. In fact, it would be to your detriment to do that. This is the way to begin to do it. And you fill it this way, and then you begin to grow it by getting referrals and allowing it to expand from satisfied members within the group and getting suggestions from those who are in the group. And then once you have that thing nailed and the price point is satisfactory to where you can afford to spend money on traffic, that you know your conversions, then you do that. Too many entrepreneurs do that prematurely, and then they wonder why they're out of business in 12 to 18 months. And then I get those inboxes from people who are saying, well, you know, this coach told me this, and they're telling you the wrong thing. They're really just serving their own interests. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up so we can get to some questions.